everyone, Meg here from I Teach Stamping. Welcome to today's Friday Flip. So the Friday Flip is where we take one project idea and we flip it into something completely different, keeping the parts of the cards that we want to and changing what we need to make it work for our new occasion. So let's take a look at our inspiration card. It's going to be this one right here. So this was a Halloween card that I made, and I loved having the pattern paper behind it in these strips, and then a great label sentiment, and then a little pop of something, right? A little element right there. So we're going to take the basis of this and completely flip it around. So let's take a second and review our supplies now. I'm going to be using one stamp set. It's the Stampin' Up! Labels to Love stamp set, and I'm going to use this image right here and the love next to it. Of course, yours can say whatever you want. And then I'm going to be using a variety of punches. I've got the daisy punch, and then the label punch that's going to coordinate with that stamp set, a 1/2" circle punch, 2 ink pads, Night of Navy, Daffodil Delight. I'm using the Stampin' Blends. This is the dark Daffodil Delight. Some of the faceted gems from Stampin' Up. I love these. And then we've got our cardstock. So I've got Whisper White. It's going to start at 4 1/4 by 11 inches, and I scored it at 5 1/2. My pattern paper, this 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. Then I have some strips of Daffodil Delight. These are going to start at 3/8 of an inch, and we're going to trim them down to be exactly the length we need them. So these are about 5 inches starting. Then I have a scrap of Night of Navy and then an extra piece of Whisper White, and that's what we're going to do our punching and stamping on. All right, so I'm going to move, and then of course all of your adhesives, scissors, fun stuff like that. So I'm going to move all this out of the way, and we're going to start with our stamping. So with our stamping, we just need to stamp 2 different things. We're going to stamp our label first, and that's just in that Daffodil Delight ink. And then I'm going to use a stamp positioner. I'm going to use my Stamp-A-Majig to get my words right in the middle. So you might be wondering why I'm not using my Stamparatus, and it's because I'm only making one card. So this is so much easier if you're just making one of something. All right, so get these ink pads good and closed up. And we are ready to move on to our punching. So I'm going to punch out 2 of the daisies in white. There we go. And then I'm going to come in with a label punch and take care of our sentiment. Then we want a 1/2" circle of Night of Navy. And now we're ready to do all of our assembly. Our basic work is done. So we're going to start with these Daffodil Delight strips. And remember I said they were too long on purpose. So I'm going to start with my pattern paper, and I'm going to leave 1 inch from the bottom, and I'm going to go flush to one side. For me, it's easier, since I'm right-handed, to go flush to the left and just let this little piece hang out right there. Make sure my pattern paper is still straight. I'm just going to leave about 1/8 of an inch, again, using my grid paper. So I went with 3/8 of an inch so that I can always start my cardstock on a line on my grid paper. It's just easier for me to line it up that way. Go up, leaving 1/8 of an inch, and there we have it. So I like to do it this way so I can make sure that everything is flush to the edge of my pattern paper and just trim off the excess. Because there's nothing like it when you make a beautiful card and you cut your cardstock just shy of the perfect measurement of your pattern paper. Happens to me all the time, and so this is what I do to fix that. All right, so now we're going to take this layer and just put it onto our card base. And then we're ready to build out our flower. I'm going to go with glue dots. Love glue dots. Cannot imagine life without them. Just going to center it onto my flower, and then I'm going to take the blue, put it in the middle. And then I'm going to bring in these faceted gems and my blends. And you can pick whichever size you want. I'm going to go with the medium size. You can see I've got some colored on here. But you just go round and round on it. And there you go. So you can make these whatever color you want. And we're going to go back with a paper piercer. I think the adhesive comes off of these really easily, so if you just kind of try to pull it off with your finger, a lot of times the adhesive stays on the strip, so always make sure you're using your paper piercer or a pair of scissors. All right, I'm going to drop that into the middle. And we're almost done. So let's go ahead and get a dimensional on the back of our flower and some adhesive. There we go. on our sentiment. I'm going to start with this. I'm leaving right about 1/4 inch from the right-hand side. And then I'm just going to drop my dimensional flower right there on top. And so there we have our beautiful card. We've got that fabulous pattern paper, our popped up flower, our colored in little gem, and our fabulous sentiment. So let's go back to the inspiration card. So this is what it started with. So rather than using strips of just pattern paper here, I went with a big piece of pattern paper here and strips of cardstock instead. I kept the same label, but then I flipped it around, and instead of having a little tiny little pop of something, I went with a giant flower. I love this project. I hope that you love it too. It's so fun and easy to make, and it's so pretty. I love that pattern paper. So if you're interested in ordering any of the supplies that I used, and if you're watching this on YouTube, just look in the description below the video. If you're on my blog, just scroll down and all the products are listed right there for you. Again, I'm Meg from I Teach Stamping. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a great day.